bizarre than 2024, 2025, which is saying a lot because those years were bizarre anyway. But this year we started with this image with the 3rd of January, and this was when the United States launched a military attack on Venezuela and captured President Nicolas Maduro and his wife and helicoptered them to New York. These were taken in the helicopter, and you can see he's been handcuffed and blindfolded to do that. But of course, we're in an era of AI, so there are memes, and the memes came thick and fast. And this is what getting into the dark forest means. You just don't know what is real and what is not. So this quickly morphed into this. So let's get into technology. So of course, ever since 2023, when ChatGPT was launched, the conversation in business has been dominated totally by AI. I host executive lunches for executives who just take a breather and also to kind of strategize and be introduced to new ideas. And for the past 24 months, that's all the executives want to talk to me about is AI and the different impacts. So this presentation will give you a thread of what's happening in each of those 6 pillars. So firstly, let's go into the dark forest. So the dark forest is a science fiction work by a Chinese science fiction writer, but in internet terms, it is a metaphor for where we are in the internet. So the dark forest seems calm, it looks peaceful, but the minute you walk into it, predators start coming out. So the parallel is that the internet looks calm, looks quite benign, but the minute you stick your head into it, the trolls come out and the toxicity starts coming out and you get your head chopped off. So people are starting to retreat from the dark forest. It's interesting because what happens when in an era of influencers and in an era of social media that you have been trained for the past decade or so to be as loud as possible, to be as performative as possible because you want that attention, and that's new business models, and suddenly it's not that great to actually put yourself out there. What does that mean for brands and businesses as well? Because businesses have also latched onto social media to do that. When you dive into the dark forest, it gets more interesting. So in about July last year, we crossed a very significant line. We found out that there is more bot-generated content and engagement on the internet than human-created content. So there's more synthetic content out there than was actually created by humans. A few months later, we had insult added to injury, and I'm a writer and I'm a journalist, and this made me really, really sad, was that there are also more synthetically generated articles. So there's more written content by machines than there are human content available now. It was a very small margin last year, but this year it's already gone up to about 40% human content to about 60% or so non-human content that is out there. So that's really what's happening, and we've moved from different types of AI. So we moved last year from generative AI, which you all kind of probably used to with your co-pilot at work, into agentic AI, which I'll get into more. But your AI agents are becoming more autonomous, should we call it, and some people are starting to dabble where I think they shouldn't. So this happened in February. A tech entrepreneur decided to launch Maltbook. It's a social media platform for AI agents. So you, as a human, sign on your AI agent, you just register them, they will do the rest of the paperwork because they're an agent, so they should do all the grunt work for you anyway. But then they start chatting about you and what their jobs are, which gets a little bit concerning. Somebody said, well, look, it's not really a AI breakthrough, it's more of an interesting commentary on AI infrastructure, and this is the first time I heard this word, agentic ecology. So we are starting to have these experiments, and let's put these agents together, let them chat about us behind our backs. What could go wrong? We'll see. We haven't seen what's the result of all of this, but we started to see, hallucinations were so 2023. We're now looking at rogue agents, we're looking at a whole lot of things that are doing things there, but the brunt of it is, this is where we are in 2026. We have to wade through AI slop because you cannot discern what is real and what is not real, so you spend more time trying to verify something. And I think for this profession, I will show you what the real dangers of consumer advocacy, which is something that we've been tracking for a while, where you've got inequality happening and people are getting more and more angry at corporate companies, at bottom line for driven businesses, and just the haves and the have-nots. But so part of that consumer advocacy is, I quite like this because I champion the underdog, is data poisoning. It is the new form of civil disobedience. So it's like digital civil disobedience. It's like, you want to mess with us, you want to send all your agents, you want to take our jobs, we will poison the data because AI is large language models. So we will poison the data so that you don't get the results you are. So that on the one hand is revolutionary. On the other hand, if you're a business and you are using AI, and what happens if your data is poisoned, and you are starting to do it, as we found out with government circles, where they did the white paper on AI and they used AI and there were wrong bits of things on AI, so that was pulled back really quickly. But this will give you an idea, so you can just see the top line is what a dog is, what a car is, and then as you start getting poison samples, it's sort of the car becomes a cow and things like that. So. And it doesn't take very much to actually poison a system. So 250 poisoned documents could compromise outputs of AI models of any size. So think about that. So questions. At Flux, our mantra is, if you want to change the world, you've got to understand the world. So I'm posing you understand the world questions, and then change the world questions for those online. If you're not seeing it on the screen, or people at the back, if you can't see the screen here, I'll just read them. So I think this is important. Where are the dark forests in your company's ecosystems, and are they operational, reputational, or cultural? So do they affect the work culture? Do they affect your reputation out there? It's kind of an attack from all ends. And everybody is trying to put some kind of AI into their operating systems. My point is, when I speak to, over the past 2 years, to different companies, it's a knee-jerk reaction to say we need to have some AI. Nobody actually understands when you ask them, what do you need it for? That question is not answered. So people just want it, but they also don't think of the ripple effects and unintended consequences. And at Flux, we like looking at unintended consequences of embracing innovation.